Hey, what's up you guys? Eric here, back again with another video. So these are the 5 things that I wish I knew when I was playing TFT. So we are watching a gameplay that I had a couple days ago. And the first thing that I want y'all to notice when, you're first starting TFT is every game starts off with a carousel. And in this carousel, before I thought, the very most important thing that you're gonna need to get is the champion. I was wrong. Because the most important thing that I look for now here are the items. I look at the items on these champs and decide on what item I want to start off the game with. Because the items kind of dictate what you play, like what comps you play. So if you have a really bad item to start off with, then you're kind of going to have a difficult time, you know, playing the game because chances are you don't really want an item on a unit that you get on your first carousel because you know sometimes they're not the best item for that unit. Every time you see a carousel, making sure that the item that you're picking the item and it's, instead of the champion, because that's what I first started off with. I was like, oh, I want a champion, I want this Lulu, I want this Callista. But now I think, okay, what item do I want? Do I want the spatula? Do I want the tier? Do I want the giant slayer, the belt? Do I want the bow? So that's tip number one. The second tip that I have for you all is econing, right? What does econing mean? If you see right here, Chonk is kind of blocking it, but there is like these things on the map, right? Before I didn't know what those were for. I literally looked at them and I was like, that's cool, but why are they like that? And then I ended up seeing them start to fill up. And I was like, oh, how is that happening? I don't know. Oh, look, one disappeared. What is going on, right? So econing basically means saving money and getting interest for your money. That's the short version of it. But that's how I figured out what econ was. I told you I'd never watched any like streamer before or anything like that when I first started playing. I just saw this and I was like, oh, this kind of interacts with my money, and whenever I have 10 gold, I get one of these. When I have 20 gold, I have 2, 30, 40, up to 50. And then once I realized that, I looked it up and realized that that's called econing. And it's really important because in this game, you buy XP and you buy champions and you re-roll to get other champions into the shop. So the gold is really important. So having gold is really important for most people. There's some people that think gold is very expendable and you don't really need to econ as much. That's the aggressive people, but we'll talk about that some other time. But for someone that's starting, econing, getting to 50 gold is really important. Typically you'd want to stay at 50 gold so that you have more money to play with later on in the game when things really start heating up and you actually need gold to improve your team. Because if you're at like the later levels and you have 0 gold, it's kind of difficult because everyone else has more gold than you and they can get their team stronger and you're kind of just stuck there with the team that you have and it might not be that strong. If that makes sense, hopefully that makes sense. Clearly I'm not really good at econing because I have 6 at like 3-1, because I like re-rolling, like I like pressing the refresh button a lot, and apparently you're not supposed to do that. So that's just one thing. Who am I to tell you what to do? But yeah, so as you can see, that was one thing. See, I have no, like, I don't even have like 10 gold, so there's no like flower there. But if you look later on into the game, I end up having 50 gold at one point, and that's when all of the flowers are there. And the reason why econing is so important is because for like every 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, there's like a break point and you get interest on your gold. So essentially you're putting your money in the bank and you're getting like 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 coins every time you put your money in the bank. The next thing that I want to talk about is kind of in relation to econing too, was win or lose streaking. It's really important, and I'm not really good at this, but I wanted to share it with you guys, was because knowing when to win streak and knowing when to lose streak. Because if you reach like minus, you're losing like 4 times, right? You get interest on that too. The more you lose, the more interest you get. Same with winning. The more you win, the more interest coins you get. So The reason why I bring that up is because I didn't know that. I thought the idea of the game was you should always, always, always be winning. But apparently not. That's really not the case in TFT, because we're gonna go into number 4 now, is that sometimes you are going to lose a round or a battle, and that's okay. That's okay that you lost that one round because someone has a stronger comp than you. Don't tilt. That was my biggest mistake when I first started too, was that every time I lost one round, I started to tilt and I started to spend all of my gold because I just couldn't stand the sight of losing a round. But in reality, sometimes losing is actually good, because if you're win streaking or you're lose streaking, you get more or less gold. So you see it starts to count up. Now I have uh, three win streaks. The more I win streak, the more gold I get. And the last thing is, I wish I knew that I had to build a comp. I wish I knew that this right here was kind of important. Like, I used to just play the champs that I thought was cute and thought were cool in League, and I was like, oh, this seems fun. I should use this. But the more I got into the game, probably like a week into the game, I was like, oh, I have to actually make things work with each other and make synergies. And I know it's weird that it took me that long to figure that out, but I'm someone that plays, I started playing League because I thought Annie was such a cool champion. And for TFT, I was like, oh, these are cool. I wonder what they're gonna do. Oh, that's cool. So I just started like figuring out, what to put on the board, and then that's when I started looking into builds. That's when I started looking into how other streamers or developers actually play the game, and that's when I ended up climbing to the higher ranks. So I'll link the mobalytics down below to figure out what these all mean, and check it out, read it for yourself, and hopefully this helped you a little bit. I'll see you guys in the next video, and hope that helped. And if you have any more questions, leave it in the comment, and I'll try comments.